main branch, which is like the starting point. And if you wish to find the solution for any of these modules, you can visit the repo at the appropriate branch, like B2 solution, for example. So, before we start writing code, once again, I want to guide you all to the move book. Here, for example, we are going to be talking about primitive types on Sui. So, a good way to go about this would be just to open the move book and search for the primitive types. And let's see what we get. We see that we have 4 primitive types in move, basically. We have the integers, we have booleans, we have the address, and we have the vector. We will work with all 4 of these at the B2 module, but I want to have your attention here on this in case you want to revisit something or you want to take your notes later at your own time. You can always reference the move book. For example, let's see into the integers. We will see that we will be working with unsigned integers. We have a certain, let's say, capacity in a sense, because in move, integers have fixed widths. So what does that U8 or U16 or U34, what does it mean? Anyone who wants to help me with this one? Why don't we just say, for example, it's just an int? Why do we say that it is an unsigned integer of 8 or of 16, 32, 64? What's the difference for that? Anyone knows? Absolutely, yes. So it's basically the bit size and how large the numbers that fit inside of this width is. So, for example, U16s fit upwards of something like, I can Google it. U16, for example, unsigned integers of 16 fit upwards to 65,535. So any number larger than this would be considered out of bounds for this unsigned integer. We'll see while writing move code how the move language informs us about the widths, the max widths of an unsigned integer. So let's get started. Let's see what we have already pre-implemented in the Sui primitives file. We have the module name declaration. Actually, I want someone from you guys to help me go through this file. I think we went through it yesterday. Just help me line by line understand what we have here. Whoever wants to take this, raise their hand. Come on, it's just some standard declaration. Who wants to start from line one? What are we reading? Just so we have a recap of yesterday. Any takers? Or I will choose a random one. If there are no volunteers, I will choose a random person. You all know this, I'm sure. Line one from the code, not from the test. I want you to help me understand the file structure. We say module Sui primitives, colon, Sui primitives. What does that tell us?
We are using the module Sui primitive from the package Sui primitive.
That is not the case, because if we were using it, that means we were importing it. Here we are declaring it. You see the first keyword that says module, that means that we have created this Sui primitives module inside the Sui primitives package. But under it, yeah, you can continue. Under it, as you see, we use. So continue, please.
So we use the module dynamic fields from the package Sui for the test purpose.
Absolutely right.
Also, we use the dynamic object field module from Sui package for test purpose.
Yes, that's right. So, same for the rest of the modules that we have imported. Just a quick reminder: on the first line of your move module here, you will see actually the name declaration, right? So we are saying that this is the Sui primitives package and the Sui primitives module. It has the same name just for this example. It doesn't have to be always the same, right? And the rest are test-only imports, basically. And just a reminder why we are explicitly saying that these are test-only, because we want to avoid them while building the project. These are only needed when we're running our tests. Okay, so we have a pre-implemented test that is like test numbers. So test numbers is just, we are assigning 50 to the variable A and 50 to the variable B. Remember the assertion. What's the second parameter of the assertion? What is this 601? Anyone want to tell me? Yes, that's right. This is the error code. Theoretically, we will show you a better way, I think later today or tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, on how you can make this even cleaner. But just a sneak peek on what we can do. We said that while writing assertion, the second parameter is the error code. This should be a unique error code that the developer has set, so they know that if this assertion fails, they will get this number at the terminal and they will know, like, oh, where is this thrown from? Search and just find the assertion that failed, so make your debugging life easier. But we can make this even cleaner by, like, at the top of our file, we could set error codes, for example, like so. We will see it again, but let me show you. So this is a good practice. Let's say that is a common convention for the people who write move contracts to have their error codes stacked up at the top of their module, like we did here. We'll see more examples of that on the following days, but just a sneak peek. What I'm saying is that I've set an error code, which is like error, that's what the E at the beginning stands for, numbers not equal, and I set the error code to 0. That's whatever, like I could set it to 601, like it was, as long as it's something unique. And now, instead of just passing the 601 hard-coded number, I pass this error code, so it's even cleaner. My portal, my output of the terminal will tell me that error numbers not equal, so it's even easier for me while debugging. So, yes. Just a second, I'm gonna rejoin the session online. Okay, yeah, so we're good to continue. Yes, so let's continue with writing the rest of this test numbers test. So let's just do some other, like, let's work with numbers. This is nothing different from what you already know in any other programming language. Just one thing to note regarding move is that we do not have float divisions. So we only have integer divisions. If you were to divide 5 by 2, you would get 2, not 2.5. Okay? No floating numbers in divisions. Nothing crazy, pretty basic stuff, working with additions and subtractions. Let's run this test. Can somebody remind me how I can run this test? Yes, right. And where, in which directory should I be in to run Sui move test? What do you think? Yes, that's right. Inside Sui primitives. Also, while our test is running, just a quick reminder and a thing that you can remember while building and testing move code is basically that you have to be at the same level of directory where your move.toml file exists. So our move.toml toml file here is inside Sui primitives. So we will be inside Sui primitives when we are either doing Sui move build, Sui move test, Sui client publish, or whatever. That means we are under the correct directory. Okay, of course, our test passed. Nothing crazy here. We are just playing a bit with numbers. Let's now do another test in order to see the overflow, what we just said previously. The fact that in move, integers have fixed weights. So, we know that for sure this test will pass. We say that assert that 1000 equals 1000 and it fits inside the U16. So let's just assign these two. Of course, once again, this test will pass, but I want to show you something. We previously said that the U16 number fits upwards to an int of the value 65,535. I just Googled it. I do not remember it. So let's see. Let's say that I assign this as 65,000 and 35. And the rest 5,000 here is inside this. So the complete value of C will be 65,535. So 65,535. You have to be really careful when working with integers and stuff inside smart contracts. That's why they have fixed weights, right? Because you might run into issues where you are out of bounds. We know that this fits, but what if we were to run this test actually? Let's see that it indeed has no issues. It run no issues. Ignore these warnings are from the following tests we have not implemented yet. But if we were to say that this is 65,036, see, even from the linter we see that invalid number literal. The given literal is too large to fit in a U16. Let's say I ignore this issue and I go ahead and run this test. I will see the same error here on the output of the terminal, right? Of course, the test didn't pass. It failed while compiling. So, the lesson from here are the fact that the integers in move have fixed widths. All good so far? Nice. Let's go ahead and implement the next test together. Oh, actually, I will give you a few seconds if you want to follow. I see some of you coding, so I will give you a few seconds. I think you should all be ready by now. Yes. On Telegram, you have a question. What's the question? Host error code, can I transmit message string? I don't get this the question. If you please can rephrase what you mean, I will answer. Thank you. Okay, so let's go to the next test where we will test mutability. I remind you yesterday that we said about what a mutable variable is, or a mutable object, or whatever. It's basically the fact that you are declaring that I want to mutate this. What does that mean? Let's see what does that mean and how the compiler helps us once again if we are trying to work mutably. If you are trying to change a variable that we have not declared as mutable, we were not going to be allowed to do that. So let's see how we can actually do it. This is wrong. See that we had declared A as not a mutable variable, but just as a variable. And here on the next line, we are trying to mutate it. Look at what this says. It says, invalid assignment of immutable variable A. To use the variable mutably, it must be declared as mut A. It doesn't get easier than this. The compiler helps us with the exact thing that we need to do. So let's just do that. If we want to actually do mutating operations on this variable, we can just declare it as mut A. And now it's good. Once again, you don't have to remember like everything about the newly introduced move syntax. You can just follow the error codes. And let's test this again. Our test passed, of course. Does this make sense? Is this clear? If you want to mutate a variable, when declaring it, you have to assign it as a mutable, like we did on line 36. Or else, we will not be allowed to change its value, because you have move is a strictly, let's say, typed language. So in a sense, you have to give the exact type of the variable you are declaring. So we are saying that this should be allowed to be mutated. So we do that by the mute keyword. All good? Nice. Really quickly, let's also work with booleans. Also here, nothing new, nothing that you don't already know from other programming languages. Let's say that we are assigning a value of A of 500 to A. We are assigning a value of 1000 to B. And we are just assigning the result of the expression B is greater than A to this Boolean value. And afterwards, we're just asserting that this is indeed true. All good? Just working with booleans in move. Pretty simple stuff. Anyone needs time to code along this test, these examples, or we're good to continue? Give me a thumbs up if we are good to continue. I will give you 1 minute, it's okay. Okay, next test. For the next test, we are just going to see how we can have the pretty standard loved loops inside move. In move, we only have the while loop. We don't have a for or a for each or whatever exists in the other languages. So in order to have a loop in move, you will use the while loop. Like, let's just do a simple example. I want to create a counter like we do with the index I equals to 0, you know that, like, and iterate based on this counter I. So let's declare it. Do you think this should be a mutable declaration, or I should leave it as is? I remind you, we will after the next line, we will start a while loop, and we will be modifying the counter, of course, in order to stop the loop at a certain threshold. So, how should I declare I on line 51? What do you think? Is it correct, or should I add mute? You think it's okay? The rest, you said we should add mute, right? And actually we should add mute because we will be mutating the value of I. Let's try without it. So we have an example once again. If we were to write our while loop like so, just a pretty standard while loop, and we are trying to mutate the value of I without declaring it as a mutable, this is the error code we will see. Invite assignment of immutable variable I. Declare it as mute. As we did on the test above, The compiler helps us, the linter helps us. So we say, of course, this should be immutable so that its value is able to change. So this is how we basically do the while loop. And another useful thing that that I can introduce to you right now is how you can print stuff on the terminal, basically, when you're printing or you're building or you're testing. So we can do that by using a function called print, which exists on the debug module, like so. From the std package to the debug module to the print function. And let's say that I do not remember what I should pass in this function. Also, if you wanted to use this, for example, and you would just visit the movebook and you would be like print, you will find this function. So once again, I want to help you think of writing move code in a way that you have all the resources that you need to search for the material necessary. Let's say that I already did that step and I found this function inside the movebook, for example. And now I want to see what parameters I need to pass in this one. I can just command and click here. And I see that I need to pass any argument, basically, right? Any argument, but as a reference, because of course I do not want this to be consumed. I want to reference the value that I want to print. So let me just do that. Let's print the counter here, for example. We will do that by referencing I. And of course, the result we should see on the terminal should be 5, but let's test it. There is a question on the quiz at the end of the day about this, so pay attention. This is the output of the terminal. We see debug 5. This debug keyword at the beginning helps us understand that this was printed from your debug module, basically. So we are printing I, which is, of course, after the for loop, after the for loop, has the value of 5. Pretty standard stuff. A standard while loop. This is how we do it in Move. Now let's work with vectors. We said that vectors are one of the 4 primitive types that exist in Move. And you can think of vectors like arrays, for example. It would make sense if you thought of them like arrays. So we can go ahead and see the following examples. So, who wants to help me read the pre-implemented test from line 58 to line 63? Let me know what you think, what this means. I think you will be able to get it. Who wants to help me understand? Line 58 to line 63. Basically, the test vector. Of course, we will be adding on top of this. We will be making it a bit fuller. But from what exists right now, what do you think this means? Yeah, go ahead. Do you have a mic?
Okay, you are creating a test function, test vector, and then you create a vector with multiple, and the vector you also pass the generic U8.
So what does this mean? After we are saying that the variable name is myvec,
And then
this is what it is.
Variable type.
Exactly. This is the variable type. So what does that mean that the vector and inside the brackets we have U8?
So that's called the generic type, like the variable type that the vector can contain.
Absolutely, yes. This is the type that can be contained inside the vector. You cannot have different typed elements inside a vector. If you choose to have a vector that has U8s, it will only have U8s, for example, right? Okay, continue, thank you.
And then you compare like whether the vector is empty or not. You check.
Here, from this, we're just, what are we doing here?
Oh, so you create a vector with 3 elements.
Absolutely, yes, we are initializing with 3 elements, yes. And then continue, sorry.
And then you assert, like you check whether the vector is empty or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
What do you think will happen at this assertion?
It will raise the alert.
Yes, it will fail, of course. This is not empty. So thank you. That's correct, yes. This is how we can declare a vector. This is how we are saying that what is the type that will live inside a vector. I think this makes complete sense, like any other programming language. This is pretty intuitive to read, right? I think we have no issue with that. So let's see. For example, we see that there is this isEmpty function, right? This isEmpty function. Oh, yes, question.
I have some question about the debug. Does the debug work with the struct type, or it's just only work with the primitive type?
Can you say that again? Sorry, I didn't get it.
Can the debug print function work with the struct type, or just the primitive type?
Can it print the struct?
Who bring the struct? What do you mean?
Like I have defined the variable with the type of struct. So can it bring out the full struct, or just?
Oh, yeah. You mean if you can contain inside a vector, let's say types that you have created, like for example a hero, right? A struct type that you created. Yes, of course. As long as it only contains heroes, right? Doesn't have to be only primitives like the U8 we see here.
No, I mean the debug function, the print. The debug.
Oh, the print. We will see. Good question. Good question. We will see what we can actually print. But to answer your question, actually, it's the next test. So you'll see what you can actually do to print and what the outcome gives you. More complex objects are not so easy to read through the terminal, so it would not be advised, but we'll see what the outcome could be of the debug print. Also, there's a question on the quiz about this, so good question. You will see. So, I was talking about this isEmpty function. This isEmpty function is accessed through myVec. So, the logical guess would be that, of course, like any other thing we saw yesterday, vector is just another module that it comes from the Sui modules. So, if I was to see basically, if I wanted to see every possible function that I can use to work with vectors, I have nothing other else to do than just open the vector.move module by just command clicking, or even visiting the monorepo of Sui on GitHub, because everything is open source, as you most probably know, and just visit vector.move. So I can just go ahead in here, and let's say that I wanted to write an assertion regarding if something is empty or not. The logical thing would be for me to just search for the keyword empty or something like that. And I would say the functions No, destroyed, no, 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 destroy empty, what is this? Yes, this returns true if the vector v has no elements and false otherwise. So, once again, I want to do a certain thing with vectors. I will just open the vectors module and see the available functions for me to do that. Let's see other things that you can actually do with vectors. Let's say that I wanted to check the vector length. I see that there exists a dot length function, makes sense. And I want to make sure that it is equal to 3. Insert my vector length. So this assertion should pass, but the next should fail. Let's say that I want to revert this and just say that I use the exclamation mark like we do in any other programming language, that I am just reverting the value, the Boolean value result of this one. So I have a vector. I initialized it with 10, 20, and 30, so 3 U8 values. And afterwards, I am asserting that the length is indeed 3 and it's not empty. This will pass, of course, but let's do some other assertions. Of course, when you're working with arrays, you want to be able to add and remove stuff, right? Or else, what's the point of the vector or array, as you can think about it? So, let's see how we can actually push things into the array, or how we can remove things. How we'd go about this as a new developer would be to just open the vector.move module and search for these keywords and see the available function that I have. Does that make sense? Would you do that as well? Like open the module declaration and see, is there a function that I can add? Is there a function I can remove? How is it called? And how can I use it? Let's see. Let's do just that. Let's say that we want to add something to the vector. Okay, I just searched the keyword add, and I see on line 42, it says, add element E at the end of the vector, V. Right, what's the function called? It's called pushback. Right, so I will just use that. Simple as that. My vec.pushback and the value 40. So I just added another element at the end of the list. If I wanted to, let's say, add it at a specific index, because now I see that I used a function that adds the element to the end of the vector, because in our example, we do not need to add it at a specific index, so at the third position, at the first position, or whatever. Let me see if there is another function that actually allows me to add it at a specific index. I see that there is an insert function. Insert E at position I in the vector. So once again, I just search for the keywords that I want to do for my business case. For this example, it was just adding things to a vector. I searched the module and I found the documentation told me, the comments told me that I can use these functions. So Now we just added to the end this 40 value. How can I remove it? How would I go about this? Once again, just visit the vector.move and see how I can remove something. Remove. It says remove the ith element. Oh, so from a specific place. No, I don't want that. Swap remove. No, I don't want that. No, this don't work. Let's say that I want to pop something. Oh, pop. This exists. So it says pop an element from the end of the vector. Nice. So I searched another keyword. Do I have your attention? Should we move forward? So I can utilize this pop back function. However, I see that this pop back function returns an element. Are you all by now familiar to read this function declaration? See, this means that this function, when I call it, it will return an element. This is abstract, but it will return whatever element is whatever exists on the type of whatever exists in the vector, of course. So, since this returns an element, when I call popback, of course, I will assign the result to a variable, like so. We said that the name of the function is popback. And now let's write a quick assertion to see that last value, what should be the number of last value? Based on what we just read about pop back, what do you think should be the number inside last value? Right, 40. Because the pop back function that we used basically tells us that pop an element from the back, not from a certain, let's say, index. There was another function to do that. We didn't use this one. So let's assert that last value equals to 40, and we can basically run this test and see that all our assertions pass. Our test passed. It's time for another volunteer to remind us line by line, somebody from this table. Let's say, I will choose, you will choose around the person who wants, and explain once again what we did from line 60 to 65 and the reason why all assertions passed, why this is correct. Can somebody remind us? It's pretty easy if you just read line by line what we mean, what we say, what are the functions we create. Who wants to volunteer from this table? Yes, thank you.
So the first line is we define a vector of U8 myvect, including 3 elements.
Yes.
The second line is that we assert for the length of the vector is equal to 3, otherwise it gives error 111.
Yes.
The next one is we check for whether this whether the vector is not empty.
That's right.
The next one is we put the element 40 to the last of the vector.
That's right.
And then we use pophack to retrieve the last element, and
Yes.
then we validate whether that element is equal to 40. Otherwise, give error 2.
That's right, thank you. So you see, it's pretty easy to actually read the functions. And even if I was to completely forget the functions that I wanted to use for this vector, what I showed you is that I just clicked inside the vector module and searched for keywords like add, remove, pop, push, whatever I could find, and just read which function works for what I want to do. Because this, I think I need to, you need to understand that this is, I think, the right mindset, in my opinion, while working with smart contracts in Move. You do not have to remember every single function inside every contract. You just know that you want to be working with vectors, and as long as you are working with vectors, you will find every function that you can use to work with vectors. Okay, any questions regarding vectors before we move on into strings and see the printing from debug, like something that we said earlier? All good, all clear? Give me hands, a thumbs up. I want everybody to give me a thumbs up so I know you understand. Cool. Pretty standard stuff, nothing too crazy till now. Just to warm you up for the day. We have more interesting stuff coming up. So, let's go ahead and see test string. We saw it yesterday as well when we were defining, when we were defining a name for our hero. Remember that we created a hero and we gave it a name of Vietnam hero, remember? This is how we defined a string. First of all, we just created a byte array. This is what we're doing. We are creating a byte array that includes these characters. And afterwards, we just use the toString function to convert this byte array into strings. So let's see how we can work with that in this example too. So here we have a string array, let's say. Let's convert this into an actual string, not a byte array. Like we did yesterday, the byte array toString gives us a string. So let's now print some stuff. And I want you to guess what will be printed for each one of these. Are you riding along? Do you need a few seconds? If you're good, I want somebody now from this table to try to guess what these three will print to the terminal. We see line 70 tells us that we have a string array, which is basically a byte array. This is how we are defining a byte array. Bytes with these bytes inside, a byte array, and afterwards we are converting on line 71 this byte array into an actual string with this toString function. As we see from the highlighting on line 71, my string is an actual type string. So, what do you think lines 72 through 74 will print? This table. Any takers? Somebody, let's say from the back of the table, because you guys are not so interactive. Somebody from the back of this right table who wants to take this, who wants to take a guess. I remind you there are no wrong answers. Oh yes, you can do it. No wrong answers. Just a second, sorry. Let me reconnect. No? Here? Right?
What happened?
I tripped on it. It's okay. We're back.
It's okay. You, I can see. This is record. I can see. Again, so meeting. Ủa, còn thêm meeting khác. Ủa, phải meeting này không? Đó, meeting này. Quên mà.
Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2,
You can
1,
check
2.
it for the online student.
Yeah, it's good, right? I think you have. Should your microphone be open, Teran? Teran, should the microphone be open? It should, right?
It's okay.
It's from me.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry, excuse me for that. Can you continue from line 72?
Okay. Now both of the bring from a string array length. I think it's about the number of character we have here. 2, 4, 6, 10, 13. First one is 13.
13 for the first, okay. What about the next one?
The next one is the value of my string. So the my string here, it will show you hello world.
Okay.
And for the last one, the value of my string array, it will bring on the vector representative for every single character in the string.
Okay. Thank you. So, our friend basically said that the first print will be the number of elements, so basically a number, 13, right? Something like that, 13. The second would be the word hello world, and the last would be an array with every element that exists inside the byte array, so H, E, L, L, O, and let's see what it actually will be printed. Close enough. Close enough. Let's explain this. The first line is indeed 13. It's the number length of the string array. The next one is the actual string, which is hello world, right? But the last one we see is just, let's say, a reference to a certain vector. So, why is that the case? And to answer a question regarding earlier. So, for more complex types, the debug print function is not actually implemented to print more complex types like vectors. Why? Because imagine that this vector had 1,000 elements. What would be printed here? It would be a chaos. So it's not a practice that we want to guide you towards printing the vectors and stuff like that. So, because I want to remind you that the last thing that we tried to print is basically a vector. This my string R is a vector. So for vectors, you will not be able to see the elements inside them by using debug print. You will see just a reference to this vector. Good job though, thank you very much. Now, as a last thing, I want everybody to take like 5 minutes, even 10 minutes if you need them, to try to tell me who, the first one who finished this and gives us a correct answer will be the winner. I want you to try and understand exactly what this test does. Based on what we previously said, try to understand exactly what this test does. Once again, we're working with strings. I want you to try each one by yourselves to see this test that I printed on that I gave you on the screen, and try to understand what this test exactly does. I'll be quiet for 5 to 10 minutes, how many you need. And the first one who gets it, I want to raise your hand and tell us. Sorry? Okay. Coming back. It's okay, I think, right?
It's not okay. I turn it back.
Yeah, thank you. Is that okay?
Please still wait. Don't worry.
Let's wait for the TV to turn back on, and after we answer this mini quiz, we are going on a short break for like 15 minutes before we continue to a bit more of interesting topics. But let's see whoever gets it first. Great. So if you need to come closer to take a look, please do. Feel free to roam around the classroom. Uh, let's see. What does this test do?
I need the online casino.
You have a guess? Okay, great. Let's see. Line by line, what does this test do?
Okay, the first line, you will init a vector with the word hello world, and then you create a mutable variable I, and then mutable variable index of w equals 0.
So what will these two hold? I and index
I
of
will,
W.
I will be like iterative variable.
Yes,
And
yes.
the second one will be holding the index of w inside the string.
Absolutely right. Yeah, go on.
So it will look through the vector, and it will find the index that holding the w.
That's right.
Yeah, if it cannot find, it will return index of w, and then it will increase the letter I, to move on to the next elements of variables, and then you compare whether the index of w equal to 7.
Why? What is this line 86? Why are we saying that the index of W is 7? What does this 7 mean? And also, what does this 87 mean?
87 is the equal to w. If you use the ASCII table, you will figure it out.
Absolutely right. So the capital W in the ASCII table will be number 87 for W. So we are basically saying that if we want to search for a specific character inside the byte array, you can do that by its ASCII representation. Great. So, and for line 86, you said?
It will check whether the index of w equal to 7. Mean that just checking the location of w, the index.
And why 7?
Because we count from 0.
Yes.
0, right?
0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah,
Yes.
0.
So, from 0, you're correct. Good job. Woohoo! Great job, and you allowed all your friends here to go on a break for 15 minutes early. Great, thank you. See you in a bit. Of course, if there are any questions regarding anything we saw so far, I know it's pretty simple stuff. I hope you're not too bored, but feel free to ask me during the break anything you want. Tehran, will I leave this for the break? Should I close the mic now?
Okay, if you
I
want
stopped
to.
presenting and we can close the microphone for the break.
Okay, okay. Tới chiều nay là bắt đầu anh em mình học tiếp nha anh em ơi. Cho nên là bây giờ đóng meeting tại đây nha. Có gì thông báo trong nhóm Dolphin đời anh em. Em không dùng Discord á. Tại vì mấy bạn sinh viên, mấy bạn không có xài Discord. Dạ. Mấy bạn sinh viên cái link này ở đâu bữa nào mà không có để được tham gia online được không? Dạ được, dạ được. Online thì anh vô trong nhóm này em hay đăng trong tele á. Để nhóm tele anh search có kèo nào cũng vô trong này hết á.
Đâu,
Đây, đâu cũng
mình làm sao vô được
anh search là ra.
đâu thì
Có nhóm chat luôn á. Đó, xong rồi chiều mà học tiếp thì em sẽ nhắn vào trong đó. Hay là sau này kể cả học mấy cái khác thì cũng sẽ có hết á.